CFP rankings have dropped for the second week, and we have an adjustment in the rankings as expected. And we have now learned that the Miami Hurricanes are ranked number 15 in the current CFP. Now, we're going to break this all down and what this means, in our opinion, and take a look at how everything's worked out. We're going to give our opinion on what we think is crazy, what we think makes sense. And let's jump right on in this thing, man. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez. Show my hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell. Leave a comment. I appreciate y'all continued support of the channel. Before we jump in, I want to shout out Natalie Lopez, our sponsor, attorney at law. When life hits hard, the law firm of Natalie Lopez hits harder. If you're going through any situation right now, criminal or family law, please jump on board. Give her a call, 954-888-8833, and follow her on Instagram at Nat, N-A-T dot guilty. That's at N-A-T dot guilty. Give Natalie Lopez a call today. Appreciate y'all jumping on board once again. As I said, the CFP rankings are here. We are going to discuss them and we're going to talk about what this means to the Miami Hurricanes. And interesting component of this, where you see that there's some projections that are out there now as well that have, well, Miami in a pretty favorable position. We got the rankings right now. I'm actually a little bit surprised in how it has played out a little bit. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas. Let me pull this thing up since it's coming off of the screen. Texas, let me pull it up over here as well. Share this tab instead. Texas, Oklahoma, BYU, Utah, Vanderbilt, Miami, Georgia Tech, USC, Michigan, Virginia, Louisville, Iowa, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, South Florida, and Cincinnati. Got a lot of thoughts on this thing. First off, I said at the bare minimum, Miami will be moving up to 16 based on the Virginia and Louisville losses. I thought they could be as high as 14, but no lower than 16. I said anywhere between 14 and 16, was reasonable. But I'll tell you what's not reasonable. And what's not reasonable from my perspective right here is the fact that if you actually throw these teams in a bag and you just toss their resumes and you don't know when they played them, because they keep telling you that it doesn't matter when you play the opponent. It doesn't matter, but we all know it does, even though they want to lie to our faces and think that we're a bunch of stupid idiots, right? Because in every situation here, if you take a look at the rankings right now, Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama's 4, Georgia's 5. Texas beat Oklahoma. Texas is 10, Oklahoma's 11. BYU beat Utah. BYU's 12, Utah's 13. USC beat Michigan. USC 17, Michigan 18. Virginia beat Louisville. Virginia's 19, Louisville's 20. I mean, as you see what's going on here. And then you got Miami and Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is 9th and Miami's 15th. And that's a legitimate gripe and a legitimate beef. I mean, there's an actual article that was written by David Hale about it for ESPN, where he talks about this, where it's like there is a beef that Miami could actually have. Now, do I think it's as real of a beef right now as it could become December? If we're looking at the same situation, then yeah, I do. That's a huge beef at that point. I think that situation will probably even itself out come December. Maybe I'm being naive, maybe I'm being crazy, but I think if Miami ends 10-2 and Notre Dame's 10-2 and they're ranked side by side, I can't imagine that Miami will be ranked behind Notre Dame with a head-to-head win. It's just my opinion, not when you're following suit on all these things right here. I granted Louisville beat Miami. I understand that. But they lost last week, but they're still not ranked ahead of Virginia. Virginia went into Louisville and won. Alabama beat Georgia. Notre Dame, Texas beat Oklahoma. Georgia beat Ole Miss. So BYU beat Utah. Pretty sure BYU beat Utah. Let's confirm that. BYU and Utah. Let me just verify that before I run out the mouth on that one. I'm fairly certain that they've already played Utah. Yeah, they beat Utah 24-21. So yeah, everything else makes sense. Now, I was surprised, I'll be real. I was actually kind of surprised that Indiana didn't drop. I just think that Texas A&M has had a tougher road. What's the point of playing the teams that Texas A&M has played? And I'm not talking about the SEC teams. What's the point of going to Notre Dame, beating Notre Dame on the road, and being ranked behind Indiana, whose best win is against Oregon? And I do like Indiana. I think they're a good team. I think they're legit. I think they had a tough game this past weekend, but let Miami have had that tough game, and Miami would have dropped if they would have been in that same position. That's the problem that I'm having with it. And then on top of that, like when you look at let me pull this article up from David Hale. Because the best win that Oregon has was Penn State, and then they've lost 6 straight games. So how in the world does Oregon still sit at 8? Like, you got to explain this to me like I'm stupid. How do they stay at 8? Well, because they beat Iowa last week. I mean, really? Iowa? I don't know how Iowa's ranked number 21. That's another thing that has to be explained to me. You blow somebody out and BYU barely moves down a spot. Like, they barely move. Utah doesn't play and they move up. Like, they don't even play. And they got 2 conference losses. If you look at Utah, they have a 24-21 loss to BYU and a 34-10 loss to Texas Tech on their home field, no less. This is my problem. They lost 34-10 at home to Ole Miss. They have a 45-15 win over Cincinnati at home, but they lost by 24 points on their home field, and they're ranked 13th. Miami lost by 3 to Louisville. Now, I am a little confused on this one as well. Tell me exactly how Miami passes Georgia Tech. How did Miami pass Georgia Tech? If someone has a beef about that, I would say Georgia Tech has a pretty decent beef about that because they were ranked ahead of Miami last week. So I don't really understand how Miami jumped past Georgia Tech. I'm not complaining about it, but I do have questions as to how that can happen. Like, ask yourself, where's the logic in that one? Not to mention, Georgia Tech only has 1 loss. Georgia Tech only got 1 loss. So why in the world are they dropping behind Miami? I don't really understand that, but I'll take it. However, they do play against Pittsburgh next week, and if they beat Pitt, and they still got Georgia, they still have Georgia on their schedule. So there's a lot of situations there for Georgia Tech, but they're also in the driver's seat to play for the ACC championship still. They still are in the driver's seat for that. End of the day, I've been very, very vocal about my opinion on the situation with the Hurricanes, and my opinion remains the same. If Miami wins out, Miami's going to make the playoffs. Mark it down. If Miami wins out, Miami will make the playoffs. I think most people project that Alabama is going to beat Oklahoma and Georgia will beat Texas. Off of that alone, those 2 teams are going to drop out. BYU and Utah, I'm sorry. Utah cannot move any further up. I don't care who Utah beats. They can't move any further up. Their schedule left is Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas. Don't be shocked if Baylor beats Utah. But again, if they finish 10-2, are you going to sit here and tell me that their 1 ranked win over Cincinnati is bigger than Miami's ranked win over Notre Dame? Come on. And ignore the fact that Miami lost by 6 on the road in overtime and by 3 to Louisville, a ranked team right now. Like, I know they weren't ranked when we played them, but We've got to be real about these things. That they're doing stuff with this. Like I said, I've been very, very clear. These people do not watch football. They don't watch football, bro. They just read stat boxes. They have no idea what's really going on. They have no idea. They're clueless to this shit. I'm telling you right now, completely freaking clueless. They don't know what's happening. They read a stat box, they use the AP ranking, and then from the AP ranking, that's where they roll. That's where they go. That's what they do. They don't know what's going on. I call them on the BS. How is Utah ahead of Miami? How did Utah jump 4 spots in a ranking last week in the coaches poll? It's preposterous. It's preposterous. Now, the other teams that are in this conversation, again, Ole Miss, they're probably going to make the playoff. I mean, let me see what Ole Miss has left on their schedule before we before we wrap this thing up. And I am going to comment on a few more things. But again, Miami wins out. Miami's playing in the playoffs. I don't give a shit. Miami will be in the playoffs. I don't think, and their projections are the projections. Like people make projections. Ole Miss has Citadel, Florida, Mississippi State. They're gonna go 11. I'm saying they already played Citadel. They got Florida and Mississippi State. They're gonna go 11-1. I don't think Florida's gonna beat them. I think they're 11-1. I think they're a lock. Oregon's got a cupcake schedule. Their schedule's been cake, but I don't think they're that damn good. I don't think they're as good as people think they are. And if you've watched them play, you can see that they're not. They escaped Iowa. Their best win is over Penn State. Well, now it's Iowa. If you look at their schedule, they played Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State. These teams all suck. They all suck. And now Penn State, their first 5 games are against trash cans. Rutgers stinks. Wisconsin stinks. They got Minnesota, USC, Washington. I'll tell you right now, don't be shocked if USC goes up to freaking Eugene and beats them. Don't be surprised. That's going to be interesting because I think USC is still in play. I think USC is a team that is still in play as well. You look at like I said, Texas and Oklahoma, BYU. Vanderbilt. I think they're overranked as well. I don't see how they're ranked higher than Miami right now. I really don't. Again, if you threw let me pull up this article right here. Let me find this article. Let's read what the committee clown said. It was one of our longer discussions in our meeting. CFP Committee Chair Mac Rhodes, the athletic director at Baylor, said on ESPN's rankings release show Tuesday night regarding the choice between the choice between the Hoosiers and Aggies at number 2. Indiana, we gave them the edge defensively and certainly offensively as well. You think about Indiana's body of work. Indiana found a way to find a way. With all respect to Indiana, and I think Indiana's a good team. I think they're a legitimate team. Indiana's best win is against Oregon on the road. They did beat up on Illinois, but otherwise they've played Maryland, Penn State, UCLA, Michigan State, Indiana State, Kennesaw State, and Old Dominion. Their first 3 games of the season, their non-conference schedule is an abomination. Their non-conference schedule is an absolute fucking abomination. Again, I'm not sitting here saying that Indiana doesn't belong up there, but they should not. I would have had Texas A&M ranked number 2 this week. Now, looking at the rest of the rankings, you have Texas A&M still has some tough games left. So while I think they should be ranked number 2 right now, they have a schedule that's not easy. They still have to play Texas. They're still got to play Texas, and Texas could be, while Texas could get knocked out of this thing this weekend, losing to Georgia. You don't think that Texas would love to ruin Texas A&M season? I'm sure they would love to do it. They got, they're playing Texas A&M last game of the year at home. That could be a devastating situation for Texas A&M that would knock them potentially out of even an SEC championship game. Like there's again, I'm not, because of the schedules and all that stuff. They got South Carolina, they got Samford, and they got Texas. I think they beat South Carolina, but That Texas game is not going to be a simple situation for them going to Texas and with possibilities of playing for an SEC championship. A loss to Texas. I don't know if that knocks them out, but it could. It could very well knock them out. You might get from that, you might end up having an Alabama Georgia rematch in an SEC championship game. I'm not sure. But this unbalanced schedule thing this year is really, really messy. You look at Alabama and Georgia, obviously they'll probably, again, Alabama, Georgia, if they don't beat Texas and Oklahoma this weekend, that could cause a wrinkle to this thing. But what also is interesting to me is the fact that when you look at the projections, let me go back to reading this thing where they said, what a convincing win against BYU, both sides of the ball. Roads of Texas Tech, when asked what is keeping the Raiders out of the top four offensively in the red zone, they've left some points off the board. Like, what? What's keeping them out of the top four is they lost a game. And they're in the Big 12. Like, that's what's keeping them out of the top four. You got two undefeated Big 10 teams, an undefeated SEC team, and a one-loss Alabama team that has wins over like 5 ranked teams or whatever it is. That's what's keeping them out. That's all it is. That's all it is. This is where you get the word salad sandwiches that come with everything. Those word salad sandwiches are great because it's not like Texas Tech didn't lose at Arizona State 26-22. Arizona State's a decent is like Arizona State's like an SMU. They're like an SMU. So, and let's see where else they said. With Miami, this is the comment about Miami. With Miami, we had some teams lose. And again, the conversation with Miami has been about their consistency, especially on offense. If that is not a message to you, Shannon Dawson, if the message has not been made very clear to you, Shannon Dawson, Mario Cristobal, the committee does not like your bland style of offense. They don't like boring. They want people to put up some points. Mind you, they're hypocrites because Oregon ain't putting up points. Oregon just won 18-16. I think that's very, very inconsistent. Miami has not scored 18 points at all this year. But they're telling you right now, score, be aggressive. They want you to score some damn points and show them in the final 3 games of this season that your offense can go. They're literally telling you. This is like, understand this shit very clearly. They're telling you your offense is boring. We want people to watch. That's what they're saying to you right now. You got 2 losses, and your offense, even against Florida, was bland. Against Florida State, the fourth quarter, you disappeared. Against Syracuse, where was it for most of the game? Against Stanford, it was non-existent again. Like, you have been consistently bad on offense for the most part this season with your play calling. He says they've been really, really good on defense. Obviously, the head-to-head win with Notre Dame comes up. All those things play into it. We've got great respect for Miami. But this is where I go back to stuff about something like, if you threw everyone's name in a bag, or not the bag, you threw this resumes in a bag, and you just threw the resume of each team, and you didn't tell me when they played, would Miami be top 12? Probably so. Probably so. Based on a real criteria. But we know that's not the case. We know they're looking at the AP poll. We know they're looking at that shit. We know it. It ain't a secret. There's no secret to this thing, man. They can lie about it all day. You lose later in the season, you're fucked. And that's why Miami last year got fucked. That's the reality. They fucked themselves, but they got fucked also by the fact that they lost the last game of the year and had no opportunity to win after that. This guy lies and he says we don't look at conferences. That's bullshit. We look at each of the teams, and I think for the ACC, when you look at their non-conference schedule, there really are no signature wins other than Miami versus Notre Dame. Well, then, but who? What? But yeah, you have Miami 6 spots behind Notre Dame, who they beat. And so when we're having that conversation, we look at schedule strength, record strength. That's certainly one of the metrics that come to play. All right. Tell me exactly who Oregon beat. Let's look at Texas Tech's non-conference schedule. Arkansas Pine Bluff, Kent State, Oregon State. All terrible. Let's look at Utah's non-conference schedule. UCLA, Cal Poly, Wyoming. Let's look at BYU's non-conference schedule. BYU's non-conference. I mean, I'm just calling a spade a spade. Portland State, Stanford, East Carolina. Stanford stinks. They beat Stanford 27-3. Miami beat Stanford 42-7. 42-7. That's the Big 12. Don't tell me about non-conference schedules, bro. Let's go look at the non-conference schedules of the SEC. Let's go look at them. Let's go look. Oh shit. If I do that, that might expose the bullshit, right? Let's look at the let's look. Alabama. Oh, Florida State. They lost. They got whipped. Louisiana, Monroe, Wisconsin, and Eastern Illinois. That's their non-conference schedule. Thank you very much. Shut up. Don't tell me about non-conference schedules. Georgia, they played Clemson. We know this. No, they didn't play Clemson. So LSU played Clemson. Georgia played Marshall, Austin Peay, and they got Charlotte. Like, what? What? Ole Miss, non-conference. Georgia State, Tulane, Washington State, who they barely beat, and the Citadel. Come on, dude. This guy's such a fraud. These people are frauds. LSU, they're not really in this conversation, but they played Clemson, Louisiana Tech, Southeast Louisiana, and they still have Western Kentucky. Miami played Notre Dame, South Florida, and Florida. And Bethune-Cookman. Florida beat Texas. Florida has played competitively in almost every game outside of Kentucky this past week. These non-conference schedules, the only one that can walk around and say they have a non-conference schedule worth a damn really is Texas, but that's only one game, Ohio State, because their games versus San Jose State and UTEP and Sam Houston State, like, they suck. They suck. Trash. Come on. Expose the bullshit, man. Don't lie. Like, you're lying, man. It's so that's the stuff that's frustrating, is the lying. The flat lying, like you're bullshitting people. Let me find this other article that David Hale wrote that I saw. Here, the anger index. Oh, and I forgot. This is what the projection is. This is the projection right now. This is the projection for the playoff right now. Right now, Miami is projected to be in the playoffs. Right now, Miami's the number 11 projection. Why do you think that is? Because they're looking at the games. They're seeing which games, how the games are going to play out. They got Texas in this motherfucker. That means they could lose to Bama, according to them, and still make the playoffs. I don't know how. Because this is also presuming here that they lose to Texas A&M too. How could Texas make the playoffs with 4 losses? Or 3 losses, for that matter? Would Texas A&M be a 3 seed with a loss to Texas? That would be very interesting. They got a projection right now of Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Notre Dame. Again, this is where I would say this is complete horseshit. If Miami is behind Notre Dame between 9 and 11, I would say this is the biggest sack of garbage on earth. How can I play you, have the same record as you, and be ranked behind you? Not even 1 spot, but 2 spots? That's preposterous. But yeah, you still got Oregon here, Notre Dame, Texas, Miami, and South Florida. So Miami would have 2 wins over teams in the playoffs. The only other team that could possibly have that, or there's 2, is Ohio State, because they'd have to play Indiana or Oregon, because they've already beaten Texas if Texas is in, and potentially Indiana if they were to beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship because they had to win over Oregon, and then also Alabama because they have a win over Georgia and to win the SEC. Hell, this is projecting that Texas A&M beats Alabama. Actually, it looks like. How could Alabama stay at 4 if Texas A&M beats them? Like this is a projection. I don't know how Alabama can stay at 4 if Texas A&M beats them. Like, are we really going to keep them at 4 because they beat Georgia? See, this is where it's all funky. But they got Miami making the playoffs right now. Now, this is the article. So I think that should make you feel a little bit good because this stuff doesn't come out of thin air. This shit is not just being made up. These projections just don't come out of thin air. I'm pretty sure that someone got told that, look, if Miami wins out, they're in the tournament. They're in the tournament. If they win out, and this is irrelevant of Pittsburgh beating Notre Dame. If they win out, they're in the tournament. Now, the weird thing is there's no other ACC team in here. So they're almost presuming that Miami's going to win the ACC. That is, don't know how you, I mean, they would literally need everything to fall into place for Miami to win the ACC. That means they got to get to the ACC championship, which I think is a lot more difficult than making the college football playoff right now. That's just my opinion. But this is the commentary on Miami for the angry poll. Anger index. Why a number 15 ranking isn't good enough for Miami. Written by David Hale of ESPN. And this is the committee's job is to survey the evidence at hand and capture that specific moment in time, not guess about the future, educated as those guesses might be. And that's the problem. They're not going with what they got. They're going with what they think might happen. They're going with what they think might happen. And that's the problem that I constantly have with this bullshit. In Bill Connelly's SP Plus ranking, Georgia is 1 spot ahead of Alabama, but the two teams have the same record and the tied hold a head-to-head advantage. So the committee rightfully has Alabama ranked higher. SP Plus also actually has Oklahoma 9th ahead of Texas by a sizable margin, and the Sooners' overall profile with wins versus Michigan and Tennessee is better too. But again, those two schools have the same record, and Texas holds head-to-head win. So the committee ranked the Horns higher. Or consider Louisville and Virginia. The Cardinals 26 are a full 15 spots ahead of Virginia in the SP Plus and 14 spots higher in strength of record. And no matter that Virginia's head-to-head win over Cardinals came in overtime and required 2 defensive touchdowns, the committee appreciates what happened on the field. Hell, it was a road game for Virginia to do that. And it has the Cavaliers ranked higher. Similarly, the committee has USC ahead of Michigan, BYU ahead of Utah, and Georgia ahead of Ole Miss, partially because of the metrics bear that out, but also because in each case, the higher ranked team has the head-to-head win. Please explain why Miami is different. The Hurricanes metrics are solid. They're 13th in SP Plus, 13th in strength of record, have 4 wins versus FPI top 35 teams. Here's the crazy part. If we had this resume last year, we're in the playoffs. We didn't have any of these 4 FPI top 35 wins. If we had the 4 FPI top 35 wins last year, we're in the playoffs, i.e. the top 25% of FBS, more than anyone but Texas A&M and Alabama. And of course, they have the same record as Notre Dame and hold the head-to-head victory over the Irish. The committee, however, has Notre Dame ranked 9th and Miami 15th. It's nonsensical on its face. And worse when you consider the committee also has Texas with a worse loss than either of Miami's. Utah, just 1 FPI top 35 win, and at Vanderbilt, 4 spots behind Miami and FPI, all ranked higher too. Again, it's certainly possible that Canes lose this week to NC State. We all know that. A team that has already taken down Virginia and Georgia Tech, but that's not the point. It's about right now. The committee isn't supposed to guess what will happen next, yet the projections have Miami getting there. So it's supposed to rank teams based on what they've done so far. And there is absolutely no metric that warrants Miami's placement behind so many 2-loss teams with clearly inferior resumes. So there you have it. Again, I'm not going to lose my shit until next week if I don't see what I think I need to see with at least 2 losses from Texas and Oklahoma. At the very least, those two losses. However, I think people should be, you know, relatively pleased that the Hurricanes are ranked 15th ahead of Georgia Tech. It's a little surprising to me, to be quite honest. Like I'm actually surprised about that. And yeah, so what are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts about this? What do you think do you feel a little bit better about the Hurricanes' chances to make the college football playoff? Like I said, I was very clear about it. I said if Miami wins out, they're in. If they win out, they are in, and I don't have any doubt about that. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Remember, we will be live on Saturday, 3:30. I already got the link up, so if you want to jump on board that link, remember to do so. 3:30, we'll be in the building at the Hard Rock. And once again, I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all like this video. Subscribe to the channel, ring that bell. And of course, look, man, if Miami doesn't win out, all this shit doesn't matter. None of this shit matters if we don't win out. So we got to do our job. You got to make these guys make a decision. You got to make them make a decision. And whether or not we make it at the end of the day, if you're 10-2 with a win over Notre Dame and you don't get in, it will be one of the largest disgraces in college football history. I know people, I'm being a little, what's the word, hyperbolic, but for terms of this tournament, this playoff tournament, really, this playoff system, to have a win over a team that's in and you have identical records would be absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. But we'll find out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. Again, this is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.